Let me ask you a question. I was reading a book and it was talking about goal setting. And the question was posed, and I'm going to rephrase it just a little, but I was inspired by a new idea. It was this: why are we adopting other people's goals? Have you ever thought about this? It's really fascinating. It got my brain going, and the more I thought about it, the more true I realized it is. At first, when I read it, my thought was, well, that's ridiculous. We don't adopt other people's goals. That sounds stupid, but it intrigued me, so I kept reading. And I came to realize that it's actually true for a lot of people. I think entrepreneurs in general have a tendency, we're kind of pre-wired to gravitate toward the next cool thing that's happening. We all want to be a part of success. I mean, that's what we're all pursuing in some shape or form. We want to win, right? That's why we set goals. We want to succeed. We want to achieve something. So we have that, I think, wired inside of us. And that's a good thing because it drives us forward. It pushes us to explore new things, and it pushes us out there so that we're exposed to potentially fail. And that's where we learn, because that's our discomfort zone, is when we're exposed like that. So failure happens, and we can learn and grow and develop ourselves as a result. But we're pre-wired, I think it's in our DNA, especially as entrepreneurs. But I think most people have this. We want to succeed. We want to win. And so when we see success in some form, maybe you're listening to a podcast interview, or maybe you're at a success seminar, or maybe you just, you look over and see a friend, and out of the blue, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I wasn't paying attention to him earlier, but man, brand new car, just paid cash. Where's that coming from? How are they doing that? They're looking at some success that they're achieving. And I think it's in our tendency to want that so much that to the extent that we will drop our plans and our goals and the things that we are working on to go after something that they did. And there's a couple of problems with that. If you think about it, they are a totally different person. They are wired differently. They have different strengths. They have different energies. They have different tendencies and natural abilities and gifts and talents and friends and resources. So why would we be so naive as to think that we could do just what they did and expect the same type of results, right? But yet, for example, you might be cruising along with your game plan, and you've got a business and you're looking to build it, and you're working on it, and you're setting goals, and you've got good things happening. All of a sudden you go to this seminar where somebody talks about how they wrote a book. You hear about people becoming authors all the time. It's one of the things that I'd like to do at one point is become a published author. And it's a great goal. But a guy gets up on stage, gets excited. He says, I wrote this book start to finish in 30 days. And 6 months later, I've sold 100,000 copies and blah, 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 blah. And you think, wow, and here's what, it was so easy, and this happened and that happened. And you listen to this and you think to yourself, well, I could do that. This guy's an idiot on stage. I can talk better than him. I can write better than him. If he can do 100,000 copies in 6 months, well, I can do 200,000 or 300,000. I could beat him. You think, wow, I got to try that. So then we take all of our plans and toss them aside. All right, I'm going to write a book. Why? Because he did, and he was successful. So I'm going to do it. And then we start writing a book. And then someone else comes along, and they're talking about some other opportunity that they did and how they made a lot of money. Maybe it was on social media, and you think, well, I could do that. I could become really great at Facebook ads. I heard this seminar the other day of the guy that's just killing it doing Facebook ads, and he's figured out how to scale it, and he's making 7-figure annual income on it. It's easy for me to go, wow, that's really cool. I want to do that. And all of a sudden, overnight, never given it a thought before in my life, but all of a sudden overnight, I had this intense desire to do Facebook ads. I don't even know the first thing about it. So if you've ever felt that way, let me give you a couple of words of caution. First of all, take a little more time setting up your life plan. It's okay to do that, especially if you're just getting started, if you're on your journey. If you're halfway into your journey and you're wondering if it's the right thing, it's okay to take a step back and reanalyze and reconfigure and say, I'm really not enjoying this. I want to go a different direction. Take some time setting up your game plan. Set a goal that's right for you. Set your goals, not other people's goals. Okay? You have to own your goals because number one, you're going to get excited about your own goals because they're yours. You set them because you're excited about them, right? I'm not going to go get excited about Facebook ads nearly as much as this other guy did because he had some natural tendencies that were in alignment with his passion that I don't have. So you're going to not be as excited if you're not setting your own goals. So keep that in mind. But the second thing is as you're going along, setting other people's goals, you don't realize what natural gifts, abilities, talents, strengths, and all that package that they have. You don't know what they have and if it's exactly the same as yours or not. It's not. I can tell you already it's not because they have different friends, they have different resources available, they have different skill sets, different backgrounds, they've got a different story to tell. Sometimes just having an amazing story gets you way ahead, especially if you're a public speaker. You've heard these guys go on stage and they've got these phenomenal stories and you're just, emotionally, it just draws you in and you are, fascinated. And they just had a story. I almost died, I almost burned to death or whatever and covered my body and this and miracle that. You're like, wow, just telling their story. They have a platform. They have a way to captivate an audience, and then they can deliver their message. Well, you may not have a story. You may not have $100,000 in your bank account. You may not have a natural tendency to write words on paper. You may not have the ability or the natural gift of speaking, but you do have gifts, strengths, talents, and tendencies in other areas. So when you consider taking on someone else's goals, think about that. Think about the fact that that person who had success, who showed their success to you, and by the way, a lot of times they don't show you all the struggles, challenges, trials, obstacles they had to overcome. They don't reveal all that as often as they reveal all the success. And so it looks like an overnight success. It looks like it came easy. And we go, hey, I want to do that. I can totally do that. But we're comparing ourselves to other people who have different circumstances. So keep that in mind. If you're tempted to derail your plan, first of all, if you spend a lot of more time on your plan, getting it right, making sure it's your passion, your mission, your goals, things you're excited about, okay? If you're spending more time, you're vested in that because you've spent a little more time, effort, and energy and focus on that, getting set up. And then when something comes along, you're not quite so easily persuaded because you've put a lot into it. You've put a lot into getting yourself on a certain track. So that's the first thing. But the second thing, there may be things that come along that inspire you to do something and you do it and it actually turns out and it becomes great. So I'm not saying don't be inspired by other people's goals and avoid, ever-changing paths because someone had success in one area. We can certainly learn a lot from other people's successes, especially if we're sharing what we did and how to get there. You can learn a lot and benefit from that. What I'm saying is when you have a plan and you're going down that road and you see a shiny object and you go, hey, that guy's being successful, I want that. Red flag that moment in your mind and say, wait, I remember watching this little video on YouTube. This guy, crazy guy, driving down the road, warned me to red flag this, okay? Red flag it, write it down and say, that's interesting. Doesn't mean I'm throwing things out the window and changing paths right now. So that's interesting. So I'm going to save that. And I don't know where I'll use it. You may not and you might. But stew on it for a while. Just hang on to it. Don't knee-jerk jump into something right away. Because you have a game plan. You have a game plan that's set up and aligned with your talents and your passions and your strengths. And you can't compare someone else's to your own. So if you feel that or you see that and it gets you excited, first of all, be glad for their success. Because if they can succeed, you can succeed. Not necessarily in the same area or the same game plan, but you can. So take pride in, or take, some sense of excitement in the fact that they can do it, you can do it. Good for them, right? We want to applaud each other's successes. But secondly, take your time and don't be so quick and so easy to change your game plan and your goals. Set your goals in stone, right? But your game plan on how to achieve your goals, or the way you execute your goals, how you get there, that is something you might have to change up along the way, but your goals have to remain. They're yours. You've got to own them. You can't steal other people's goals. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyways, very interesting thought. I love the book that I'm reading. I love learning about goals, and I'd love your comments. If you have any, feel free to add them below. Connect with me on Facebook, or hook up on 3by5goals.com and let me know all about your goals and what you're doing to achieve success. I'll see you there.